And again, while I make these switches, if there's any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll get going again. So let's see. Find my presentation here. Okay, so I think we're back, yes, with the slides up on the screen. Someone wants to let me know. Good. Okay, so I'm going to move on now just to the last few slides that I have in place, and we'll just talk about a few last items. This kind of gets to what we were discussing a little bit earlier with the questions. So we've done some benchmarks as a team, and looking at both microservice application benchmarks and Spring Boot Pet Clinic application benchmarks. And again, we're seeing that the just enough runtime aspects of the OpenLiberty server really does result in that reduction of memory footprint. And you can see that in comparison to a number of the other vendors that are out there, the other runtimes. You really do realize a significant memory footprint reduction. And this is something that the OpenLiberty performance team has really worked hard on over the last 9 years, trying to reduce that memory impact of OpenLiberty. So again, just enough server configuration is playing a really big role here. Just allowing the runtime to understand that very specific feature set that needs to be put in place given the configuration really does add to that. And it leads to a significant memory savings over time. And the same can be said for Spring Boot applications being run on OpenLiberty. And again, if you think with this one runtime, you're getting these memory savings in these two different areas, microservice-based applications and Spring Boot based applications. It's really coming down to the less memory usage you're using, the less money you're paying for in terms of Kubernetes environments. And you can think of it as getting more density out of your server footprint and really leading to greater productivity. So that's kind of the view of where our memory savings is coming into play. And then in terms of throughput, really throughput and performance is also an important effort in OpenLiberty. To a certain degree, our optimization of the thread pools plays a role here, but really that reduction of the memory footprint really is kind of, throughput is another flip side of that coin. You're gaining greater performance and out of that lessening of the memory impact. And again, running on both microservice and Spring Boot benchmarks in terms of throughput kind of leads to a good view of that with respect to OpenLiberty. So that's going to bring me to my summary. Again, OpenLiberty seeks to be that agile runtime that we're hoping developers will see as viable for that modern cloud-native development experience to bring those applications into being. It's again, to do that, it's based on open standards. It's an open source project itself. So there's a lot of iteration there. With our vast, support of these constellation of APIs, we've got the latest MicroProfile Jakarta EE APIs that are available for usage. A lot of thought into that zero migration effort and our optimization for containers and Kubernetes. It essentially leads us to a great development experience and an experience that is ready and optimized for any cloud. So hopefully that has helped you see that a little more clearly in my words and my demonstrations. But again, this is our splash page. please do feel free to go give this a visit and check it out. Take a look at some of the guides that are out there, read through some of the documentation, and by all means, interact with us at this page and beyond. Here's another pitch again for the guides, 22 of them, once again, live for use in the browser. So go check those out. And then finally, here's just a set of links, additional links that you can go ahead and take a look at. So with that, I'm going to conclude my remarks and hopefully take any questions or thoughts that anybody might have out there.
So Andy, we do have another question from Peter Steiner.
Okay.
So I'm going to just read it to you. I think it's
Okay.
fairly straightforward. Do you have customers using OpenLiberty with New Relic Java agent for monitoring and observability? In other words, what's the integration story for New Relic?
Okay, so I guess I probably can't speak to that directly. That would be something else. Once again, I'd have to sort of take back to some of our experts and discuss, but I'm happy to do that. If I can get a point of contact, I'll definitely look into that for you and see what I can find out.
All right. So if there's, first of all, thank you everyone, the folks for staying a little bit later. Obviously, we ran a little bit later than usual. I think it was an interesting presentation. I think it was well worth a little bit of extra time. So certainly, it seems like you also agree. So with that, I think I'm not going to take up too much of folks' time. I know we have a lot of things to take care of, including homework and childcare and so on in the evening. Certainly, I do. So thank you, everyone. Again, thank you, Andy, for joining us today. And
sure, thank you.
Yeah, if you have any questions, I think the OpenLiberty folks are fairly accessible. So with that, I think let's conclude for this month, and please join us for the rest of the months and of this year, and hopefully some of you can even think about joining us in person. Hopefully, as soon as we are able to do that.
Great.